The meeting is now live.
So the meeting says it's live. So I think probably people need to disappear. So good evening, everybody. I didn't hear the run up to going live, so I am Councillor Taylor, and welcome everybody to April's Eden District Council Executive Meeting. So I'm Councillor Taylor, leader of Eden District Council, and before I start the meeting, I'd just like to hand over to Lisa Tremble, the Council's Monitoring Officer, to take us through some announcements. Mrs. Tremble, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. This meeting is being hosted remotely as a result of the coronavirus pandemic, and regulations that were brought in via the Coronavirus Act of 2020 allow us to do this. The various elements of the regulations are being complied with, in that it allows officers, members and members of the public to participate in our meetings, while our current rules of procedure as set out in our constitution continue to apply. This meeting is therefore being live streamed, and it is also being recorded, so it will be available to watch for a period of 21 days after the meeting has concluded. Just in relation to housekeeping for our members, just a reminder to please keep yourselves on mute and your cameras off when you're not speaking to avoid any background noise. And then when you are invited to speak by the chair, please turn your camera and your microphone on. There is a chat function to record any technical issues. However, if you wish to indicate that you want to speak, it might be easiest just to turn your camera on in these circumstances. There is a 4-hour limit to this meeting, so if we haven't concluded our business in that time, we will have to adjourn the meeting and reconvene at a later stage. And then voting tonight will be via general assent. So if you disagree with the proposal, then it's up to you to let us know, please. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Tremble. So I've got to have a slight amendment to the order of agenda items. So please, could we be given any apologies for absence? I don't believe there are any. I'll take that as there aren't any. And so I'll proceed to introduce all the members of the executive and bring forward agenda item 3, which is the declarations of interest at the same time. So councillors, when I call your name, please could you respond with present and also make any declarations of interest you may have. Thank you. So Councillor Derbyshire.
Present and nothing to declare.
Councillor Greenwood.
Present and nothing to declare.
Councillor Robinson.
Present and nothing to declare.
Councillor Rodhall.
Present and nothing to declare.
Councillor Sharp.
Present and nothing to declare.
Councillor Tonkin.
Present, and I would like to declare an interest in item 11. Although not a member of Penrith Tennis Club, I am a former Cumbria LTA councillor and presently a patron of the Cumbria LTA who will be involved in the funding of the move.
Thank you very much, Councillor Tonkin. And I'm Councillor Taylor, as I've said, and I have no interest to declare myself. So Councillor Tonkin, if you could just turn your camera off again. Thank you. Agenda item 1, apologies for absence, we've already covered. Agenda item 2, minutes. So I'd like to propose that the public minutes E/128/321 to E/139/321 of the executive meeting held on the 16th of March 2021 be confirmed and approved as a correct record of those proceedings. So if anyone has any corrections, please indicate that you wish to speak via the chat function. And does this find a seconder? And I see that Councillor Derbyshire has agreed to second the motion. So Councillor Derbyshire, could you please confirm that?
Yes, I'm happy to second the minutes.
Thank you very much. And so the vote will be, as we've agreed, by general assent. So if you this is your moment to make any, which I don't think is necessary because we've already agreed that we have no amendments to make to the, or comments to make. So Mrs. Tremble, would you just like to announce the result so that we can move on?
Thank you, Chair. I think we can take that since no one's commented that the minutes of the previous meeting are agreed.
Thank you very much. Agenda item 3, declarations of interest. Well, we've covered that already. Agenda item 4, questions and representations from the public. There have been no questions or representations received from any member of the public. Agenda item 5, questions from members. There have been no questions or representations received from any member of Eden District Council. And agenda item 5, the local plan review. And I present this report myself as planning is in my portfolio. So this is agenda item 6, local plan review. And as we in the meeting know, central government has suggested but not confirmed or given details of a number of radical changes for Eden District Council or for EDC to deliver, notably local government reorganisation and the planning white paper called Planning for the Future. And these potential changes question the wisdom of proceeding with the full review of the local plan, which we, the executive, decided to commence in 2019 in order to align with the declarations of climate and ecological emergency which the council made, but also to strengthen the local plan's policies in terms of arresting the decline in the size of the working age population and to ameliorate the limitations to development imposed by the local plan inspector in certain settlements and in employment land designations. However, as the report sets out, the potential changes to planning legislation and to EDC itself mean that, firstly, it may be possible that a new style local plan is required before an old style local plan is adopted. And secondly, that EDC may not exist long enough to take a full plan to adoption. The proposed solution, as detailed in this report, is to undertake a partial review such that climate change policies may be adopted, linking to a new supplementary planning document for design, and that a settlement study be undertaken to strengthen spatial policies and local decision making. So put in ordinary language, any work carried out now must stand our communities in good stead, providing research to input into a new style local plan should the planning for the future become law, to provide detailed local research for a new planning authority, wherever that might be based, if a local government reorganisation goes ahead, or be part of an EDC old style local plan, should we revert to Plan A all round. So thank you everybody for your ingenuity and hard work and patience with this well thought out report and the plan it describes. Especially thanking Rhea Silidu, the Planning Policy Manager, Ali Ross, Chair of the Planning Policy Working Group, Oliver Schmel, you are Assistant Director Development, and of course other members and officers for your input. So I think it's probably necessary to return to the wording of the report. The purpose of the report is to seek the executive approval to undertake a partial review of the local plan in light of potential emerging changes to legislation related to the production of local plans as set out in the government's white paper Planning for the Future. The recommended approach of a partial review will have a more specific focus than a full review of the local plan to introduce relevant policies relating to climate change and design that will enable the adoption of a design supplementary planning document, which will also consider appropriate local build standards. 1.2. The report also seeks to provide an approach on the immediate work for the full review of the local plan in light of the potential local government reorganisation in Cumbria, with a specific focus on a method for undertaking a settlement study. And the recommendations, I propose the recommendations, which are 1, to agree to commence a partial review of the Eden Local Plan 2014-32, to introduce policies to enable the preparation and adoption of a design supplementary planning document, SPD, in line with this report. 2, prioritise the preparation of a settlement study as part of the full review of the Eden Local Plan and engage with local community organisations to assist with undertaking the study and with community engagement activities which will be key to the success of the settlement study being completed. 3, agree to the revision of the timetable for the preparation of the full review of the local plan to manage its preparation in line with this report. 4, delegate authority to the Assistant Director Planning and Economic Development to approve a revised local development scheme, LDS, in consultation with the leader, with myself. 5, agree that a report setting out the financial implications of recommendations 1 to 4 of the report will be brought before members at a future date for consideration. So I have made those recommendations, and does anybody have any questions? So please, would you like to indicate through the chat function, and the officers are present if you wish any. I don't believe anybody is has any questions of this very detailed report, and I see that Councillor Ruddle is going to second the recommendations. So could you please make that?
I can second the motion, Chair.
Thank you very much. Does anyone else have anything that they wish to say? So once again, unless people have anything that they wish to discuss further, we can take the vote, which will be once again by general assent. This is your moment to speak or hold your peace. So, Mrs. Tremble, are we able to proceed? And that vote has been taken. I don't know how to express that it has happened.
Yes, Chair, I think we can take that the executive has resolved the 5 recommendations in front of it.
Thank you very much. So agenda item 7 is the Eden District Council Community Fund recommendations. And this report will be presented by the community's portfolio holder, Councillor Sharp. Councillor Sharp.
Thank you, Chair. So the purpose of this report is to seek the Executive's approval to award grants from the Eden District Council Community Fund to the 10 community projects that are set out in Appendix A of this report. The Eden District Council Community Fund is the Council's community grant scheme, which was established to support and develop community initiatives within Eden District. At the start of the financial year 2020 to 2021, a total of £110,507 was made available. An additional £34,885 was then added to the fund total in January 2021. This was made up of reclaimed monies from historically funded projects that had either not been realised or completed. The Eden District Council Community Fund Partnership Panel membership, chaired by myself as the portfolio holder, includes representatives from Action from Communities in Cumbria, Penrith Action for Community Transition, Eden Housing Association, Cumbria Constabulary and individual community representatives from across Eden. The panel met via a virtual online meeting on the 6th of March to assess 15 applications that came in. Of these 15, 10 have been recommended for the funding. 4 are recommended to be deferred to a future meeting round, as it was felt that more information was needed to come to a decision. One application was declined. Although the panel was supportive of this project, they felt that the project didn't meet the fund's criteria. I'd like to propose the recommendation set out in 2.1 that a grant from the Eden District Council Community Fund is agreed for each of the 10 projects set out in Appendix A to a total of £46,720. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Sharp. So has anybody got any questions? I'll take that as a no. So Councillor Sharp has proposed the recommendations, and I see that somebody called MR, which could be one of two, has it's Mary Robinson.
Yes,
happy to.
Chairman, I'm happy to second.
You're actually, we were beaten to it by the other MR, but and since you are there, Mary, I shall accept yours. So Councillor Robinson has seconded the recommendations. Does anyone else have anything that they wish to say? And in that case, again, let us proceed to the vote, which is a silent vote by general assent. Again, once more, if you have anything to, this is your the last moment. So I believe that that vote has happened. Sorry, Mrs. Tremble, could you just confirm that so we can move on?
Yes, Chair. So there's been a resolution that the recommendation in relation to the funding for the 10 projects as set out in the Community Fund is agreed.
Thank you very much. Agenda item number 8. It's nomination as an asset of community value, the new Crown Inn, Bolton. And I'd like to ask Councillor Greenwood, who's the resources portfolio holder, to present this report. Thank you, Councillor Greenwood.
Thank you, Chair. So the purpose of this report is to consider the nomination of the new Crown Inn, Bolton, as an asset of community value under the Localism Act 2011. So a nomination has been received from Bolton Parish Council for New Crown Inn, Bolton, formerly known as the Edenvale Inn, to be listed as an asset of community value. The nominated land is the New Crown Inn, the forecourt, which is used as a parking area, and the beer garden. Bolton Parish Council sets out the reasons why they believe that the nominated land should be viewed as being of community value in the supporting statements. In summary, the statements set out that the public house has been in existence since at least 1861. It is now the only remaining public house in the parish and is used by the local community and visitors to the nearby caravan site. It is the only bed and breakfast accommodation in the parish. The public house is a community meeting place which usually provides entertainment and holds a monthly quiz to raise funds for local projects. A beer festival is held annually in the garden. It has been offering a takeaway service for local residents during COVID-19. It is clear that the new Crown Inn is used for recreational purposes and community-based activities, which may be said to go beyond a mere public house. The nominated land appears to have furthered a sense of local community during recent times, and it looks as though it should continue to provide a hub or focus for activities in the future. It is considered that the nomination should be accepted and acknowledged that members previously resolved to list the nominated land under its former title of Edenvale Inn on the 1st of September 2015 and 17th of September 2015. For the public house and for the beer garden. The consultation has been conducted in accordance with the statutory requirements of the Localism Act 2011, and the ward member has been notified. An objection to the listing has been received from the occupier and on behalf of the owner, who sees no need or reason for the pub to be re-registered. As members, we need to consider that land is of community value. It's defined as its principal use must further the social well-being or social interests of the local community, and it must be realistic to think that such use can continue in the future. On consideration of all of these matters, I am content to accept the officer recommendation, and I'm content to move the recommendation that it is recommended that the nomination of the new Crown Inn Bolton as an asset of community value be accepted. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Greenwood. Does anyone have any questions about this nomination of asset of community value of the new Crown Inn Bolton? And so Councillor Greenwood has proposed the recommendations, and I see that Councillor Ruddle has is offered to second it. So Councillor Ruddle, could you do that?
Yes, I'll second this recommendation, Chair.
Thank you. And does anyone else have anything they wish to say? In that case, we will proceed to a vote by general assent. And after a decent interval, Lisa, Mrs. Tremble will announce that it has happened.
Thank you, Chair. So we can take that as resolved that the nomination of the new Crown Inn in Bolton as an asset of community value is accepted, and it will therefore be added to our list.
Thank you very much. So, and then agenda item 9, which is the nomination as an asset of community value of Robinson's School, which is the Penrith Museum and the Tourist Information Centre. And it is actually Robinson's School. I think we have confirmed that it must be a typing error at some point. Similarly, this is in Councillor Greenwood's portfolio, and so I'd like to ask Councillor Greenwood to present this report. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. So as you've just said, the purpose of this report is to consider the nomination of Robinson's School, Museum and Tourist Information Centre, Penrith, as an asset of community value under the Localism Act 2011. A nomination has been received from Penrith Town Council for Robinson's School to be listed as an asset of community value. The nominated land is Robinson's School. The land fronts onto Middlegate and includes the Tourist Information Centre extension, which joins the building, and the property backs onto the back. Penrith Town Council set out the reasons why they believe that the nominated land should be viewed as being of community value in the supporting statements attached to this report. And in summary, the statement sets out that Robinson's School celebrated its 350th anniversary in 2020. The building's history is a significant example of the educational and cultural history of the town. Robinson's School is now an accessible museum and tourist information centre. The museum displays cultural heritage from the Penrith and Eden area, including geological finds, sporting, military, art, memorabilia and Penrith stories. Robinson's School supports the social and cultural interest and heritage of the town. It contributes to the community being able to reach their potential, improving their mental and physical health and well-being and enhancing community spirit. Robinson's School provides learning and educational opportunities and allows the community, including local schools, to enhance their knowledge of the local area. It provides an accessible learning space within the centre of Penrith, which enables members of the community to access their cultural past. It is clear that the nominated land is used for cultural and recreational purposes. The nominated land furthers the social interests of the community and therefore it is of community value. It is considered that the nomination should be accepted. And I understand that no objections have been received in relation to consultation of the nomination. So, Chair, I am content and happy to move the recommendation, and that is that it is recommended that the nomination of Robinson School, Penrith, as an asset of community value be accepted. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Greenwood. Does anyone have any questions about this report? And Councillor Greenwood has proposed the recommendations, so please, would somebody like to second? I shall do it myself. I would like to second this this proposal. Second these recommendations proposal. We shall now proceed to vote by general assent, unless anybody has anything further they wish to debate. Thank you. So voting will commence. And when it is deemed to have happened, perhaps Mrs. Tremble, you could say
Chair, I think we can take that as a resolution of the executive to accept the nomination, and it will be added to the list.
Elegantly put. Agenda item number 10. This is the Eden Housing Strategy 2021 to 2026. And this falls under the Housing and Health portfolio held by Councillor Derbyshire. So I'd like to ask Councillor Derbyshire to present this report. Thank you very much.
Hello. Yes, this is the Housing Strategy 21 to 26. So for the next 5 years, it's an important document because it sort of shines a light forward on the direction of travel that we want to take in our housing. It covers a lot of things. It covers Home Improvement Agency, helping older people and people with disabilities to stay in their own homes and improving those homes. Green Homes Grant to actually improve the properties from the point of view of emissions, reducing emissions, which fits our climate agenda. Also making people healthier because they're living in a warmer, drier house, and also reducing fuel poverty. It also includes all the work that we've got in further strategies like the homelessness strategy, how we work with people to get them off the street if they're rough sleeping, but also people struggling with domestic violence and other issues to ensure they've got suitable homes. Also our work with people like community land trusts to take forward community ambitions. Housing development, how do we use the allocations of Section 106 funding to ensure that we get the best value and the right housing we need. Working on housing innovation and ensuring that we're getting a good standard of housing, which also links in with the local plan we were discussing earlier. How we work with private rented sector and local lettings agency to ensure that the private rent sector, the landlords have good information about the standards required and we can link them with people who are in housing need. Also covers all the things to do with health and well-being, as I've mentioned in the Green Homes Grant, and many other topics. It's useful to have a read of it so you'll fully understand the range of things that the housing team take on and work on. I've got grateful thanks to all the housing team because many of them wrote their own sections, but I worked with Amanda Yellowly to start when it was first started. Then Louise Jeffrey has been a key person for taking it forward, but a lot of credit goes to people like Kate Skillicorn, who's led and coordinated it, and people like Megan Henderson, who's produced a lot of the facts and figures that we needed to give the evidence behind it. Also colleagues in the planning department, people like Rhea Prasad and Nick Atkinson. Also people like Jeremy Hewitson at Carlisle, who is part of the housing supply group for Cumbria. We took evidence and information from them. And also the developers and housing associations who we work alongside. And all the public, because we got, when we put it out for consultation, we got quite a few comments from parish councils, town councils, and from some community people, which was good. So thanks to the comms team and other local agencies who put out the information to encourage people to get involved. So the recommendation is it is recommended that the housing strategy be progressed to full council for adoption. So I hope you will agree to this.
Thank you very much, Councillor Derbyshire. Does anyone have any questions? Councillor Derbyshire has proposed the recommendations, and I see that Councillor Sharp has offered to second.
Yes, I'm happy to second this. Thanks.
Thank you very much. And does anyone else have anything they wish to say? I mean, I'd just like to echo Judith's thanks to people, because I think this is, you know, a really fine document, which will really make great strides in improving housing in Eden. Thank you very much for everybody. I think it's one of our most important responsibilities. Does anyone else have anything that they wish to say now? So shall we proceed to our silent vote? And Mrs. Tremble will judge when it has taken place.
Thank you, Chair. I think we can take that the Executive has resolved that the housing strategy will be progressed to full council for adoption.
Thank you very much. And so agenda item 11, this is that Penrith Tennis Club move to Penrith Castle Park, I guess, and associated improvements. Sorry, I'm reading from the wrong one. Penrith Tennis Club moved to Penrith Castle Park, and this falls again into the community's portfolio, and Councillor Sharp will tell us all about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. So the purpose of this report is to seek approval from the Executive for the 4 recommendations that are set out in 2.1 of this report to facilitate the move of Penrith Tennis Club to Penrith Castle Park. The tennis club is currently located at Winters Park on land that is leased to them by Penrith Rugby Union Football Club. The Penrith Castle Park is a valuable asset to the town, but it does require some significant investment to maximise its potential. In 2012, the Penrith Castle Park Development Group was formed, brought together by the leisure team. The group was made up of representatives from the community who were interested in developing the park, and out of this development group came the Castle Park Vision document, which formed the basis of a £2.1 million application that was made to the Heritage Lottery Fund. Unfortunately, after a lengthy bidding process, the application was unsuccessful. During this same time, the Penrith Tennis Club approached the council to seek assistance in finding a new home for the club, as their lease was due to end in 2018, although this has since been extended into 2022. As part of the Heritage Lottery Fund process, the council and the Lawn Tennis Association explored a number of options for the Penrith Tennis Club, including the possibility of building new courts on the amenity area down at Frenchfields. It was determined, however, that a full new build was not financially viable, but that a move to the courts in Castle Park would be a much more cost-effective option. In order for the tennis club to move to Castle Park, the existing facilities need some improvements, including refurbishing the courts to meet the Lawn Tennis Association's regulations, installing lights and improving access and security. Discussions are underway between the tennis club and the bowls club about sharing the Bower building as a clubhouse, which would require an extension to the existing building. The tennis club have identified a number of funding sources to support these plans, but they need to be able to demonstrate security of tenure in order to make some bids. Therefore, it is proposed that the council enter into a legal agreement with the tennis club to give them this assurance. There's also £160,000 match funding that had been allocated by the council in support of the Heritage Lottery Fund bid, and that has been retained in the capital programme for improvements to the Castle Park. It is recommended that a further report be brought to the Executive confirming the details of the improvement plan and any financial contribution required from the council. Facilitating this move for the tennis club to Castle Park would not only help to ensure the sustainability and the successful future of the tennis club, but also increase footfall for the park and help to deliver the vision for the park as a whole. I'd like to propose the 4 recommendations set out in 2.1, and they are: A, that the executive approve the principle that Penrith Tennis Club move to the Castle Park on the basis of a 21-year tenure, and that a lease between the council and the club is developed on that basis. B, that Penrith Tennis Club is provided with a letter confirming this approval in principle to support their bids for funding. C, that officers continue to work with Penrith Tennis Club to develop a plan to improve facilities at Castle Park. And D, that a report setting out the council's financial contribution to the improvement plan is subsequently brought to the executive at a later date. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So does anyone have any questions? Well, I've got a question actually, unless I managed to miss it. The courts will be able to be used by members of the public as well, won't they? I mean, it isn't just the private tennis club.
No, it will be arranged so that it will be a pay online system, and there'll be electronic doors, and it will be open to. So that's one of the positives. Well, many positives. One of the positives is that it will hopefully increase tennis as a whole for the community.
Right.
Not just
so the existing tennis courts will be improved, and we're not going to have the sort of public tennis courts and the tennis club tennis courts. No, the existing courts will be refurbished up to the standards that the Lawn Tennis Association require, but it will be open to all members of the public. Yeah. Thank you very much. Has anybody else got any questions? Good. So Councillor Sharp's proposed the recommendations, and I see that Councillor Robinson will second.
Chairman, yes, I'm happy to second, and I'm really pleased to see that after all the years that there's been the investment in Castle Park, which successive administrations have wanted to complete, we're starting to perhaps make some progress, and I've certainly welcomed that. I think it's the really good news all round.
Thank you. Does anybody else have anything they wish to say? In that case, let us take a vote, which is happening as we speak, and Mrs. Tremble will judge when it has happened.
Thank you, Chair. I think we can accept that the executive resolves to approve the recommendations, the 4 recommendations as set out in the report. Good.
And agenda item 12 is any other business. I don't have any items of urgent business, and nobody has asked me to put one in on their behalf. Agenda item 13, date of the next scheduled meeting. The date of the next scheduled meeting is confirmed as the 18th of May 2021. Don't know where, don't know when. And I'd like to thank the public for attending this virtual meeting, and I will hereby close this meeting. Thank you very much, everybody.